Hello, everyone. I am here to share my thoughts on the third studio album by Camila Cabello. The album is titled Familia. We just got it this last week. And as I said, it is her third. Now, I reviewed her debut record, Camila, which came out in 2018, on this channel, and I had a lot of great things to say about it. She obviously was a big pop star from Fifth Harmony, but she left the group before they all disbanded. They released one album without her, but she was part of that five-member group. And there was a very public sort of falling out and drama being kind of brought up around her name over the years. But she has had a very successful solo career. She has released now 3 albums when none of her other Fifth Harmony members have yet to release a single one. Lauren Jaragui, I can never pronounce her name, did release an EP last year, so she's almost there. But a bunch of others like Normani, girl, what's going on? Where is the album? Is it coming? Are you just going to drop a single every year and then bounce and not do anything with it? Like, what's going on there? Who knows? But yeah, Camila seems to be really dedicated to creating albums and putting out lots of music, which I commend her for. I think her career has been a little rocky in recent years, and so she's definitely lost a little bit of her mainstream appeal. And there are a lot of factors, and I do want to get into that. And I don't want this review to be terribly long. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to dive into every single song. I'm really just going to point out which songs I'm really feeling, which ones maybe not so much. But before I do that, I want to just paint a little bit of a picture here about Camila's career, because like I said, I reviewed her first album, but I did not review her second, which was Romance, which came out in December of 2019. I was ready to review it on this channel. I really was. But when it came out, I'm going to be honest with you, I just didn't feel like there was enough material to cover. I was not feeling enough of the songs to be like, you know what, I really feel like making the effort to film a video here. I just didn't have much to say. Yeah, there are a couple songs that I was like, I could listen to this again. Like, it's perfectly fine, safe pop music. Very, very produced, if anything, and it's losing a little bit of her Latin charm or her roots there that Camila had and relied upon, which I was a little disappointed to see. But overall, I think the album lacked cohesion. It just didn't feel very much like it was marketed properly. The singles, I just wasn't feeling it. I wasn't in the fantasy anymore. Even though I think something that makes Camila somewhat different from her Fifth Harmony peers, and I don't want this to come across as shade, but I actually genuinely do believe that Camila is more of a songwriter at heart. I'm not necessarily saying that she's the best songwriter, but I feel like the other girls, some of them more than others, based on what I've seen, are a little bit more about, getting really nice beats and maybe just kind of the vocals and going in that direction. But Camila really cares about lyrics. She really cares about a story and portraying emotion, particularly more kind of introspective emotion, heartbreak, ruminating on that, thinking about the past, being a little bit more, melancholic than maybe her peers would like to be all of the time, in an almost very childlike and innocent way. There is a childlike innocence to Camila that I find very interesting. She's not trying to be overtly sexual all the time, though in her Romance era, she definitely flirted with that. When she's even in her Camila era doing that with Havana, it feels tasteful to me. And I don't want to come across as, sex shaming or anything, but you know how I feel about, overt sex and selling pop music. It's not really my thing, but I respected that Camila was sort of keeping it a little bit more PG-13. But, at the end of the day, I think there is more of a, I don't know, there's a bridge that can be gapped for, multi-generational listening with Camila's music, if I'm making any sense here. She was trying to be more family friendly, is basically what I'm trying to say. And she still is sort of straddling that. You don't, see her, going too hard in the urban direction, even though she flirts with it and expletives and things, and her image, she's girls who are taking it way further in the sex appeal direction, but she's not trying to be a Cardi B, okay? So I appreciate that. She's not even really trying to be a J-Lo, she's just being like a little bit of a fun, flirty salsa girl. And when we announced the album Familia, I was actually really excited because I was like, okay, this is sounding like a Latin tribute record, which is something that Camila was hinting at being. But this time around, she's fully leaning into the concept unapologetically. And I was like, okay, I'm paying attention now because I feel like romance was just losing her and her identity in, a little bit more vanilla electronic produced pop music. And so we've had a lot of tumultuous media coverage surrounding Camila in recent years. The relationship with Shawn Mendes, I don't want to spend too much time talking about it. Honestly, I really didn't follow it. But, in 2020, they broke up, that they had been a big power couple in 2019. They had the hit song Senorita. They were like, some people argue the cringiest celebrity couple ever because some people felt like it was very forced. And I'm not going to weigh in on that, whether I believe that it was purely for publicity or not. A lot of people think Shawn Mendes is in the closet, and a lot of people just felt that Camila was his beard. The conspiracy theories abound. I'm not going to drag this on by saying too much more about this, so I will just say one thing about Shawn Mendes, and I've said it before. If that boy is in the closet for, being bi or gay, that is so freaking sad in 2022 that this man does not, at 24 years old, 23, 24 years old, feels like he cannot come out of the closet, even if it's just as bi, because he's worried he's not going to sell music anymore. His fan base is entirely women. What is he worried about? There are no straight men listening to his music. I mean, he's not pandering to Christian conservative America. I don't understand why he's so afraid of coming out if that's the case, which is why I do not believe that he is queer, okay? I'm going to be honest with you. I just don't. I know how there are certain things that I'm going down the rabbit hole, and I said I wasn't going to do that in this video. I'm just not seeing it. My gaydar, it's hitting a brick wall. It's hitting a brick wall. But my gaydar has been wrong before. So I will leave that there. I'll leave you all to sleuth that out. But anyway, I just think it'd be really, really sad if he actually still was in the closet all this time, because good Lord, why have you not come out already? Like, what have you got? You're not going to lose anything. In fact, it might actually make you more popular. Anyway, with that all being said, Camila didn't necessarily get the best coverage for how that all went down either. They felt like it was just publicity. And then she was in this god-awful Cinderella movie, which came out last year on Amazon. And I never saw it, but I mean, the reviews, goodness gracious. I mean, it was just, why is this being made? I mean, it was an absolute joke. And then on top of that, there was the controversy over some retweets from back in the day when she was a teenager, some things she said on Twitter that were very racist about, her co-stars, and there's the drama with the Fifth Harmony girls. And I just, to this day, there still is a little bit of like, the other Fifth Harmony girl stands are trying to sabotage Camila because they won't let it go. And look, I mean, I'll admit that Camila really needed to like damage control, like she needed to own up to, and I don't know if she's done the best job of doing that, apologizing, sincerely for her harmful things she said in the past. It's definitely dragging her down. It's unfortunate because I don't want to see her fail. I don't necessarily think every star like her is going to last, and I'm not surprised that she's not like tackling the charts like Havana anymore. But this new album is proof that Camila, I don't know, there's room on her on my playlists. Like, I'm looking for her something that's a little bit more heartfelt and authentic, and that's what we're getting more on this project. So basically what I'm trying to say is as though I feel like this project is reasserting my faith in her a little bit more, in her creative direction. I mean, I'm not saying I want her to be pigeonholed into mariachi music. She can explore different areas, and she does on this album. This album is still somewhat sonically diverse, but it's within more of a Latin pop bubble. There's not too much forays outside of that. But I do appreciate still the diversity of sonic, producers. She's got a ton of producers on this project, as to be expected. She's got different collaborators, singers, hip hop, R&B stars. It's going in a lot of different lanes. The first single we got, "Don't Go Yet," last summer was kind of the big, oh, Camila's really flopping, okay? Because that song was supposed to be big, and you could tell she kind of wanted it to be. She wanted it to be Havana 2.0, and it wasn't. I think that the fact that it didn't have a rap feature probably was part of the reason why it didn't do as well, because you know how well hip hop does. But also the fact that she didn't promote it very well. There was one performance at the VMAs, and it was kind of okay. It was made for the stage. I mean, "Don't Go Yet" is a very theatrical song. And honestly, when it came out, I was all ears. I was like, this is what I'm looking for. An album in Spanish, not all in Spanish. She sings in English and in Spanish. That celebrates her Cuban Latina heritage. Like, give me this. This is exactly what I'm looking for. It's like over the top. It's a telenovela. I feel like I'm watching that show one day at a time. Do you remember that show? Well, there's a remake as well with Rita Moreno that I think got canceled, which is really a shame. It was a really good show, but it was about like Cuban Americans living in America, and it just reeks of that with all of this Camila's new album. And so Don't Go Yet is nothing revolutionary, but it's fun and it's great to see it performed on stage. And it feels so authentic to her, like what she wants to do. I feel joy in her vocals. Even if they're not the strongest vocals, okay? I love my Latin artists who maybe don't have the strongest vocals, like Nelly Furtado, for example. There was Nelly Furtado energy in Don't Go Yet. I felt it, especially when she does go into the rap singing part towards the second chorus. So, we were on a roll, even if we knew, like, we're not bringing in those Ariana Grande numbers anymore. Like, we're unfortunately sort of in the bubbling under categories here. But who cares? She still has her loyal fans. She's still going to be fine. Then we had Oh Na Na, which was a collaboration release with Taney and another featured rapper, and I can't remember off the top of my head who it was. That song did abysmal. It completely but she also just didn't do anything with it. There was no music video, there was no marketing or promotion. It was just put out in the fall. And of course, as we now know, it was not attached to the album. Now, honestly, I wouldn't mind seeing it attached to the record. I still don't understand why Crying in the Club wasn't attached to Camila, her first record. I would have attached it as a bonus track, but I can understand why she left it at the wayside. I mean, it was fun dancehall reggaeton with hip hop, something that does really well in Latin America, and it could have been a big hit, but it wasn't marketed well, and Camila's name and all this stuff, and it's gonna flop. But be that as it may, now we have the announcement of the record. We got the album art, we got Bam Bam, or Bum Bum, as she says in the lyrics. She doesn't really pronounce the A sound. It sounds a little more like bum 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 bum. It's not Bam Bam, which is what I thought it would be, with Ed Sheeran, which is a little bit more, I don't want to say dry, but less produced in that her vocals are center stage, and then it's more acoustic. And then when it does bring in the band sound, the Latin horns and everything, it's even like it's a different energy to Don't Go Yet. It's more, but it's just a sleepover fun anthem that's a little bit less ole, ole, like, I don't know how to say it, with a little less theatrical costumes involved. But they're great singles. They're great singles, Don't Go Yet and Bam Bam. They're great singles. And they're perfectly fine for me. They're not, and again, anything I'd phone home about, but they're exactly what I expect from Camila. And basically what I want to get to the gist of is that this album is exactly what I expected from her. I wanted a tropical, heartfelt Latin tribute record from her that had heart on its sleeve songwriting, which we definitely get, and isn't taking itself too seriously. Now, there are serious moments, and when it does take itself seriously, I think it hits the mark. But overall, I think that this album feels very innocent and childlike in spirit, not necessarily like in like the literal message of all the songs. This is clearly a breakup record. But sometimes it feels very joyful. And so I appreciate that it's not like bogged down by that emotional weight all the time. But I also love the fact that it ends with such a vulnerable lyric. Maybe you just don't need me. That ends the record. On Everyone at This Party, she's just the most stripped down. It's the most stripped down ballad on the record. She's singing about how she sometimes really wishes she would run into her ex. We're assuming Shawn Mendes, obviously, is the subject of all of these ballads, or these heartbreak ballads. Did you realize you don't need me? And the album just ends. That's a very that's a ballsy way to end the record, because it's not concluding anything. It's inconclusive, and it's also very insecure. It's coming from an insecure place, but I'm not saying that it's weak. I think it's aware, and it's just processing the emotions that come through post a breakup like this. I really resonate with it. I really resonate with so much of the heartfelt, heart on the sleeve kind of lyricism that she paints here. I mean, it's simple. I'm not saying she's an excellent poet, but she does what she needs to do for a pop record that is going to be earnest. And so, a lot of the tracks, Quiet, La Buena Vida is one of the highlights. I definitely want to say my favorite songs on the record La Buena Vida. La Buena Vida is like the most Mexican, the chanting mariachi vocal backings, the rush of adrenaline around her spitting her words out as fast as she can, but like, and leaning into like almost a flamenco kind of style of music. That's danceable, but at once like very jaded. It's very telenovela. What else can I say? I don't want my life to just pass me by while I'm like waiting for your trifling ass to get your S together. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And then, and so that song is a highlight with some beautiful, I think some of the strongest vocal runs that she can offer us, or the most interesting melody for her vocals to follow. Don't Go Yet, which obviously, like I said, just a really fun party song for a family. Like it just feels familial, embodies the image of the album. Hasta los Dientes, featuring Maria Becerra, which is the most dancey bubblegum pop song on the record, which is funny because it feels free and light on its feet, but it's actually still in the lyrics a bit like dejected. You have no clue how much I love you, and knowing about your past knocks me. Even sleeping, I think you're with her. It makes me sick. It's not your fault what you make me feel. I'm crazy, crazy over you. Boy, even in my dreams, you make me suffer. I saw you with your ex and I wanted to die. I don't want to share you. I want you only for me. You got it? My body turns on when you kiss me. It depresses me. I mean, Jesus, this is not at all what I was getting from the upbeat, sort of buoyant energy of the vocals and the production. But hey, it's her way of processing it. It's not exactly what I expected, but it's one of the most bitter and kind of distraught. It's the most tense, I think, in the lyrical kind of content there. But I really enjoy it. We have Psycho Freak featuring Willow, which is kind of begging to be the next big single. Veering in a different sonic lane than the rest of the record, a little more electro pop. But reflecting on all of the things she might have done wrong as well, not just in the relationship, but also with Fifth Harmony. She sings, I don't blame the girls for how it went down. Like acknowledging that I have a lot to own up into this, and it's not their fault. Like I didn't handle this very well. I was young and naive. And of course, alluding to the fragility of fame, the fragility of the appearance of fame. I mean, again, Camila is the one who would write something like this, feeling like an alien, life is hard. I feel that from her. I'm not feeling like a disconnect, like she's just pandering to the weird kid. She is, I won't say she's weird, because like, she still kind of comes across as a very heteronormative, pretty girl. But like, she's definitely on the weirder spectrum. Like, she's more introspective and, in her head a lot, and, childlike. And so that comes across as weird by society. So she feels like a psycho freak. And I feel that these lyrics are anxious. These lyrics are confused. And she's in her 20s and figuring all this stuff out. And this song explores that, I think, in a way that makes it fun to dance to and sort of twerk to. But what do you expect? That there's going to be a sexy edge to the production. I expected that on some of these tracks. But again, I'm liking how there's not too much emphasis on that. There's not too much emphasis on a trap beat or on a overdone reggaeton sample. And when it is danceable, it feels light on its feet and innocent, and it doesn't feel heavily produced, or that it's just solely about chasing sort of a sexy dance kind of style. So the other track I want to point out is Lola. I don't know if Lola is a person she knows in her life. Camila revealed for El Mexico that she wrote this song inspired by the San Isidro movement in Cuba. People were uprising against the dictator and trying to find their voice to speak up. And this song is about the disenfranchised, the person who doesn't have a voice often, who doesn't have a lot of prospects. Society's not given them a good hand. And I love her taking this sort of storytelling, telling approach to sympathize with a struggle, a societal struggle. It's something that's very self-aware of her that we haven't really seen on her previous records. And so I would love to see more of this from her. And the song, is jazzy in certain ways. It just feels very Cuban. I don't know how to explain it, but it feels street, but it doesn't, like I said, have to over rely on like being a trap R&B thing. It's just her kind of riffing off of this melody that kind of it stings a little bit. It's close to the heart, and it suits her soft vocal delivery because she's not a belter. She's not a belter. And so these songs are not asking for that, except for Don't Go Yet. But when she belts and maybe she's a little flat, especially in a live performance, it's almost endearing because, like I said, Don't Go Yet is a messy song. And not messy in that, like, it's not, like, well mixed. It's just, it's loose. It's loose. It's not meant to be to the T and everything being exactly on key and in rhythm. Like, you're supposed to be with the rhythm, but, like, you're supposed to feel kind of just, like, loose doing it, like, not, like, regimented. I don't know if I'm making any sense, but I love Yotiel, the Cuban rapper who features on it as well. And ultimately, again, I feel like those are the songs. I mean, Celia, another great, like and buoyant, and it gives you that tropical guitar that it just airlifts you. I feel like it's exactly what I expected to hear as we like open the album. The Familia 15-second long trumpet notes, which is short, but it's opening the curtains. It's very traditional, and I appreciate that. To the, like I said, heartfelt, just singing at the guitar, singing about a feeling that I know I've experienced many times, looking over my shoulder, wondering if the person I really care about is actually going to be where I am at. Because I think introverts always feel that way. It's sort of like we just want to see one person. We don't want to see all these other people. We're just caring about the one person, and they're never in the room. And then we feel very like, why are we here? So overall, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. My least favorite song, just melodically, sonically, is "Boys Don't Cry." I feel like it's it's a little off kilter for me. I don't know. It's just a miss. The distorted synth underneath her vocals, and the melody just doesn't stick as well. But it's also lyrically safe. Like I've heard this before, but again, I don't fault her for that. It's still important in the story of them processing their emotion. And dealing with how that can toxically build up in a relationship because the man has been taught not to express himself. So yeah, if I had to pick one skip, it would be Boys Don't Cry, but there's not really a skip on this record for me because it's so short and, light on its feet. You don't feel its runtime. I mean, it's very short, but you don't really feel like it needs to be any longer either. Doesn't feel like it's really missing that much. I mean, again, maybe I thought there would be more like interludes with family members or something. I just want to talk about the cover. That's the last thing I want to talk about with this record. I really love this album cover. I saw some people coming for it. Again, this is exactly the energy we want to be going for. It's just a simple, striking image of innocence and love, and from the perspective of a child, but also from the perspective of a mother. And at the end of the day, the place she feels the most safe after coming through such a, difficult romantic breakup is with her family. And it is easy to take refuge when you're feeling down and depressed. And she speaks about that. She speaks about 2020 and 2021 being really difficult for her mental health for a lot of reasons. COVID, breaking up, all sorts of stuff going on with her mental health in general. She was learning more and more into her heritage, her family, the people who had always been there for her, and what it was like as a child to feel more free. And everything was a little bit more colorful and less, diluted with the stuff that comes with having an adult perspective, and seeing the world as not so glossy. It's endearing to me. I relate. I feel the energy. I love the tribute. It's bittersweet and sentimental, and I appreciate it. It makes it somewhat timeless for me in that regard, but in a way that romance certainly isn't. The romance is like stuck in when it was released, and it's just a product with a photo shoot and rappers and features and the dime a dozen. I mean, I'm not saying there isn't some worthwhile songwriting on there, but it's more explored on this record. So all in all, I think Camila has room to continue to grow. And as she matures and gets older, I think her pen is only going to get stronger. I think she's going to continue to sort of Dear Diary, her album's even more in a more aware and sort of wizened sense, and I think there's a lot to come from that. So all in all, I'm impressed. Let me know what your thoughts were of Familia. Again, I'm not taking it as though this was going to be record of the year or anything. But I had said, I didn't review Romance, but Camila, that doesn't mean I don't follow her work or don't think she's a bad artist, or think she's a bad artist now. I like this album way more than Camila Romance, and I think it might even be stronger than Camila because Camila is also kind of very obviously sort of like a record label push debut, and it's kind of thin. That record feels a little light, like in a way it needs more substance. And this album's going in the right direction. There's still more to be mined. There's still a lot more to be mined, but I have faith that she's going to continue. And like I said, I don't necessarily want her to just. Well, she can make Latin records from here on out, and that probably is a good lane for her. I'm not saying she can't deviate from that. Like acoustically, she can always go there. Classically at the piano, those things are always going to be there for her. And she wants to go in the urban direction as well, too. But just keeping that Latina heritage up front and center with her, I think, is important for, giving her a uniqueness that, the American market could always use more of. So all in all, I'm a fan. I'm enjoying it. It's making me think of summer. I wanted to wear something a little summery because, it's time to get out of winter, right? Time to get out of winter. So I respect it. And those are my thoughts. Let me know yours. I hope you all enjoyed this review. But yeah, at the end of the day, I'm not coming for Camila about all these other past scandals. It's like, I'm sorry. I don't know. She was so young, and it's just not my place to forgive her, though. She wasn't offending me. I don't think she said anything homophobic. Was that someone else who did? Someone else got in trouble for saying something homophobic when they were young. I don't know. Maybe it was her. Maybe she did offend me as well. I don't know. Anyway, 2014, the early 2010s it was a different time, wasn't it? So that's all I'm going to say there. Thank you all so much for watching. Please give this a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you are new here, and comment again if you want to share your thoughts. It's just my opinion, and I will see you all in my next video. Peace, love, and light. Bye.